Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another edition of Can't Wait Wednesdays here on the KB Radio Network. How are we doing, everybody? We made it to the middle of the week and basically the middle of the month, and we are fast tracking through the month of April, and we have a lot coming out this weekend. Haven't you noticed? I think I mentioned this before, but it's still weird to me that we are midway through the month of April and we've gotten a lot of content, whether it was on television, streaming service, or in the theater, man. I mean, a lot. I guess we had, well, I say we, but me. I've gotten used to the last few years, ever since COVID, not too many releases, not too many films coming out in theaters, if any, especially in 2020. And sporadically in 2021, 2022, it got a little better, getting some sense of normalcy. But now, this year, my gosh, it's like we're not even halfway through the year. And I've seen a lot of content that can make my top 10 list at the end of the year, whether it's TV or movies. And I'm scratching my head. I guess it's the anxiety in me. I'm scratching my head like, man, how are we going to rank these films at the end of the year? God willing, if we make it to the end of the year. And we still have a ton of content to come out. Like I said, we're not even halfway through. But hey, man, it's good. I'm not complaining. Not complaining at all because it's been a good year so far. It's been a good first 4 months of the year. Real good films, real good television shows. I've enjoyed it. It's not too many films and TV shows that I've watched this year that I can sit back and say, oh man, I wasted 2 hours of my life. Or I wasted, watching a whole season of such and such show. No, not this year. I've been enjoyed going to the theater. I've enjoyed sitting down with the family, with my wife, and watching this good content. And so let's see. Will it continue this weekend? Because we have a lot coming out this weekend. Let's start off with something that's coming out today. On Netflix, we have a nostalgia bomb for all of you 90s kids out there. This is a property that I can honestly say I never truly got into growing up. Uh, I couldn't get into the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I wasn't a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger guy, but I know a lot of people around my age, or maybe a little younger, because I think I was just aged out of the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger kick. I had just crossed over that threshold, so I didn't get to feel that nostalgia. But like the generation behind me, those who was born maybe 4 or 5 years after me, love this show. And this is the 30th year anniversary of the premiere of that show. So, in commemoration of that, Netflix has brought back some of the original cast from that show, and we are getting another Power Rangers movie. Yes, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers once and always. This show is as I said, on Netflix today, and the synopsis is: after tragedy strikes, an unlikely young hero takes her rightful place among the Power Rangers to exact revenge on the team's oldest arch nemesis. Okay, let's go. Going by the trailer, it looks precisely like the old Power Rangers show. Not that I guess you can call it a reboot that came out a couple of years ago, the theatrical film. And I didn't mind it. Of course, like I said, I wasn't a big Power Rangers guy. So the movie really didn't, it was, you know, average for me, because I didn't get all of the possible Easter eggs that was laid out throughout that film. I don't know. I never hear it talked about. I don't think it was well received by a lot of the fandom, let alone those who went to go see it. It didn't do too well. They had planned sequels, and after that film was released, they just said, forget it. But we are getting this version, which is based off the, I guess you could say, the original. This is the OG cast, teaming up with some new members of the, I guess you could say, Power Ranger Corps or whatever. I don't know. But Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always will be released on Netflix today. So if you're a Power Rangers fanatic, today's your day. Today is your Super Bowl over on Netflix. Go check it out. Our next can't wait is coming from Peacock. Yes, another streaming service, another series. And this looks very interesting. Um, Normally this wouldn't be something that I would gravitate to. But for some strange reason, my curiosity was piqued when I saw the trailer for this show, and it is Mrs. Davis. And it just looked weird. It looked weird, yet at the same time, it looks like something that may have a message to it. I don't know, but this is a science fiction drama uh, that stars Betty Gilpin, and I love Gilpin or Gilpin. She was in that film. Oh my god! Now I can't even think of the movie. I can't even think of the movie. But she was on that show that was on Netflix about the female wrestling. Uh Glow. I loved Glow. And I loved her on Glow. Uh The Hunt, I think was the name of that movie. It came out, I think, in 2019, and it was a big brouhaha about it, but it ended up being the complete opposite of what people thought it was going to be. People was complaining about that movie and had never watched one clip of it. They thought it was going to be one thing, but it was completely different. I enjoyed that movie. I loved it to death. But Mrs. Davis is a show about faith and technology are at odds as a nun confronts a power of artificial intelligence. And Betty Gilpin, can never nail her name. She plays the nun, and she is battering this artificial intelligence. And I guess uh, from what I got from the trailer is like, uh, you know, religion versus technology type thing, and but it's done in a kind of a the trailer comes off as comedic. It seems like a funny show, but it is not described as that in the synopsis. It's actually a drama. But I would like to see how they handle this material. I know a lot of people who are freaked out by technology, especially AI. And I'm one of them. I'm not a big AI person. I don't those pictures on the internet, those memes that be on Facebook and Twitter and all that with the AI pictures and all. I, I don't like those. They creep me out for some strange reason. I do not like AI. Because maybe because when I grew up, you know, watching Terminator, and I'm always fearful that Skynet will take over the world. So I just don't deal with AI. But it is an interesting looking show, and we don't have to wait long. Mrs. Davis drops on Peacock tomorrow, April the 20th, with the first 4 episodes being released tomorrow. And after that, it is weekly every Thursday on Peacock. Moving on, we have a television series that I am highly anticipating. I didn't know this was even being made. It's a 5-part documentary series that follows the life and legacy of Tupac Shakur and his mother, the Black Panther activist Afeni Shakur. And this is FX's Dear Mama. I am so excited for this documentary. It is directed by Alan Hughes, who is a real good director. And I often wondered what happened to Adam. Him and his brother, I think Albert, they're twins, and they've made some real good films that I've enjoyed growing up, even recently, but not too recently. But they are most famously known for directing Menace to Society, Dead Presidents, From Hell, which is an underrated good Johnny Depp film that they directed, and Book of Eli with Denzel Washington, which is also a very underrated film that I enjoyed. But they haven't made too many films as of late. In this, I guess they went their separate ways. I think Albert retired, if I'm not mistaken, but Alan still is making films, and he's made this documentary which focuses on the life of Tupac and his mother. Look, I am a huge Tupac fan, and I'm pretty sure there are millions and millions of Tupac fans. But I am a Tupac fan. I've been a Tupac fan going back to Digital Underground. Okay, so I've always loved Tupac Shakur, and I remember I remember when he was shot. Well, the last time he was shot, because he was shot a couple of times, but when he was shot and ultimately died from his wounds, and it was at I was in high school, and it was a Friday night. It had to be a Friday night because it was a football game going on, and we was at the football game, and we found out that Tupac had died, and all the air was sucked out of the stadium. I mean, everybody was like, "Oh." I mean, it was unreal. It's just one of those times in or one of those moments in time where you remember. You'll never forget where you were when you found out. And I'll never forget where I was when I found out at that football game, high school football game, and found out that Tupac Shakur had indeed passed away. And just in up till recently, still everybody is still holding on hope that he faked his death, that he's still alive. Somewhere in the Bahamas, him and Biggie sipping mai tais or mimosas or something. So it's uh, it's still a dream because everybody loved Tupac, and he's just a he was a genius. He was a genius. Not only with his music, but uh, if you ever sat down and listened to an interview of his, the dude was highly intelligent, very smart, and so talented. Go back to Juice, you know, uh, Poetic Justice and Deadlock or Gridlock rather. He was a talented actor, talented musician, and just activist, you know. But in any event, pretty sure they're gonna cover all that in this docu series, which drops on FX and Hulu this Friday, April the 21st. Dear Mama. And not to be outdone by Hulu and Peacock and Netflix, Apple TV Plus decide, hey, I'm gonna get in on the fun this weekend as well. We have a new film dropping on Apple TV Plus this weekend, and it is a romantic action comedy film directed by Dexter Fletcher, and it is Ghosted, which stars Chris Evans and Ana Del Almas. I am excited to see this for some strange reason. For some strange reason, I am looking forward to this because I mean it's Chris Evans, it's Ana de Armas. Two of the most beautiful people on earth. Everybody I don't think there's a human being alive that can argue the fact that Chris Evans is one of the most handsome men on earth and Ana de Armas is one of the most beautiful women on earth. And they're in this romantic comedy, which happens to be an action film, kind of a spy thriller type film, but it looks interesting. Basically, going by the trailer, Chris Evans is your every guy. He falls for this Anna de Armas character who just so happens to be a spy or an agent of some sort, and they go out on a date. He kind of falls in love, and and all of a sudden he gets ghosted. And for those of us who are not in the know, ghosted is when you your calls are not returned, your texts are not returned. Uh, the person just ghosts you, man. Like they vanish. you know. So he gets ghosted. At least he thinks he does, but she goes. You know, she has a job. She's a agent, assassin. I don't know what she is. They don't clarify it in the trailer. But he goes. He finds out. He goes on the find my phone app or something, and finds out where she is. Like she's a in another country somewhere, and he goes to find her, and nothing stalkerish about that, but whatever. And all the insanity ensues. So he gets a part of this mission or whatever that she is currently a part of. It looks cute. It looks funny. I love the actors involved. They have a ton of them, along with Chris Evans and Anna de Armas. You have Adrian Brody, Tim Blake Nelson, and this film is written by the team responsible for the Deadpool film. So that's a real encouraging little nudge. And so I'm excited for Ghosted, which drops on Apple TV Plus this Friday, April the 21st. All right, everybody, that's it for the streaming service. Let's jump into the theater. And we have two films that are coming out this weekend that got my curiosity. This first one is a film directed, written, produced by Guy Ritchie. Yes, Guy Ritchie from Lock, Stock, and Smoking Barrels, Snatch, the King Arthur films, the Aladdin live action film. He directed this film, and it is Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, and it stars Jake Gyllenhaal. And this is a weird little film for Guy Ritchie. Yeah, this isn't a film that I would consider Guy Ritchie directing. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that he is incapable, because Guy Ritchie is an awesome director. Um, this is a war film in a sense. The premise of The Covenant is during the war in Afghanistan, U.S. Army Sergeant John Kinsley, who is portrayed by Jake Gyllenhaal, recruits Aman to interpret with local Afghans during their mission in Afghanistan. Aman agrees in pursuit of revenge against the Taliban for the death of his son. When the soldiers' platoon confronts the Taliban in the desert, they are caught off guard and Kinsley is knocked down. Before he can be captured, Aman rescues Kinsley by dragging him through the desert mountain to avoid the Taliban. Kinsley then returns to the United States, but soon learns Aman is pursued by the Taliban and is holed up somewhere in Afghanistan. When U.S. authorities refuse to respond, Kinsley himself travels back to Afghanistan to rescue the friend who risked his life for a total stranger. I'm all in on that, man. This looks awesome. The little action that they showed in the trailer looks awesome. Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favorite actors working today. Uh, Guy Ritchie is one of my favorite directors directing today. In this material, this story actually is compelling, and I want to see this. This looks good. Uh, it feels real. I don't know if it's based off a true story or not. I tried to do a little research and I couldn't find if this was based off a true story. So this is something that Guy Ritchie came up on his own, and hey, that's fine. It just feels like a based on a true story film, but it's not. But in any event, even though pretty sure something like this happened, whether it was in Afghanistan or somewhere in the Middle East, in one of these wars that we were engaged in the past, I don't know, 20 years. Feels like forever, but whatever. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant drops in theaters this Friday, April the 21st. All right, everybody, enough playing around. We got something that I'm more than certain I'm going to be watching by myself. Um, it's hard for me to convince my wife to go see horror films. Not only see them in the theater, but even watching them at home, it's just not. That's not in the cards for Mrs. Reed. So this particular one, I'm pretty sure I'll be going to the theater by myself. And I know this because when the trailer came out, the look on her face, the dread on her face, she didn't say anything. Now I'm gonna do my due diligence and I'm gonna ask her, but I already know the answer is gonna be no. Evil Dead Rise. I am so excited for this film. I enjoyed all of the Evil Dead films, even Army of Darkness. You know, it took a while for me to warm up to Army of Darkness. I wasn't a big Army of Darkness person, you know, when it first came out, because Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 have special places in my heart. I remember watching those when I was younger in my room by myself and being freaked out. And it was the kind of freak out that I love. I loved it. But I didn't get the humor, you know, like a full turn into comedy. Even though Evil Dead, you know, the originals had comedy in it, but it was just like a full blown comedy to me back then. Now, when I got older, what should I say? I felt differently. It was it's one of those films that I guess I had to be mature to appreciate it, and I truly do appreciate it now. The remake that came out a few years ago, Evil Dead, I loved that movie. I really loved it. It was a different take, um, but it was still dreadful, man. It was still Evil Dead. You know, it was an updated version, yet it stayed true to the originals. I felt, and I enjoyed it. Ash versus the Evil Dead, that show that was on Stars, with the great Bruce Campbell reprising his role as Ash. I like that too. You know, so I'm a deadhead, as they say, or deadite, and I loved it. I love this series. This is a new updated take as well. This is, of course, a supernatural horror film written and directed by Lee Crown, and it is the fifth installment in the Evil Dead film franchise. Uh, the premise of Evil Dead Rise: after a long journey on the road, Beth visits her older sister Ellie, who is struggling to raise three children alone in a small Los Angeles apartment. However, their reunion is interrupted when they find a strange book hidden in the depths of Ellie's building, which unleashes flesh possessing demons. I'm all in on this. This looks creepy as I don't know what. This looks so crazy. Oh man, I cannot wait for this movie. I am so amped up for Evil Dead Rise. Uh, and apparently the studio has a lot of faith in this film. This was initially going to be straight to HBO Max. It was made for HBO Max, but after the studio execs watched the film, they admit like, oh no, this needs to go in the theater. This needs to go in the theater. So that gives me a lot of encouragement. I'm excited for this. Evil Dead Rise drops in theaters this Friday, April the 21st. Oh boy, this is some good stuff this week. Good stuff this week. You have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always available right now on Netflix. You have Mrs. Davis drops their first four episodes on Peacock this Thursday, April the 20th. Dear Mama, the docu-series about the life of Tupac and his mother drops on FX and Hulu Friday, April the 21st. Also on Friday, April the 21st, you have Ghosted, starring Chris Evans and Ana de Armas, dropping on Apple TV. Plus, in the theaters, you have Guy Ritchie's The Covenant and Evil Dead Rise in theaters this Friday, April the 21st. Boy, we have a lot coming out this weekend. All good stuff. Something for everyone. All of the, it's something for all of this is something for me though. I'm 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 all in on this. I love well, I ain't gonna say I love because I haven't seen them yet, but I am excited to see each and every one of these properties. Can't wait. But I want to know, which one are you excited for? Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. Also look me up on Twitter at KB Radio Network, and on other social media platforms. Just look up the KB Radio Network. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever it is you are currently listening to Can't Wait Wednesdays here on the KB Radio Network. Don't forget, everybody, we are on YouTube as well. Hop on YouTube, look up the KB Radio Network, give us a like, give us a subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for joining me today as we previewed all these goodies that are coming out this weekend. Oh, I can't wait. Want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love one another. And until we speak again, you all be